maybe in part, I feel like I've been fighting some fights since the early 1990s.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bitcoin comes around, 2009, 2010, and it's the newcomer on the block. And I'm super excited to see it. But I want to go back to fighting the fights that I was fighting in the early 1990s, one of which is about inflation. Let me just make very clear about it. I don't think the economics profession knows how to measure inflation.
Oh, I think they know. I just don't think they want to.
Oh, no, I don't think they know.
Well, the economics, department of the government?
No. The Bureau of Labor Statistics is the ones who are tasked in the United States with publishing the CPI and the variance of CPI. They are trained inside of the university system. I don't think academic economists know how to measure inflation, even theoretically. Right? The two ways in which they would like this number to go down, you see, because when the inflation estimate goes down, that means that tax brackets don't get indexed up. So they get to tax us more, and they get to give us less in terms of entitlements that are cost of living adjusted. Now, the two things that they know to bring down that number, right, that CPI number, that are clearest theoretically is one, they say it shouldn't be a fixed basket, right? So imagine that we have tea and we have coffee.
Hedonic adjustments.
Well, hang on a second. If the cost of coffee goes way up because there's a frost, let's say, unseasonably cold temperatures in the coffee growing regions, if I'm indifferent between the two, I just switch to tea. And if you give me the money needed to buy back even amounts of coffee and even amounts of tea, I'm going to use almost all of that money not to purchase coffee, which is very expensive. I'm just going to buy tea because I'm equally as happy and spend the rest on cocaine, let's say, something. And in that world, you're not talking about a cost of living adjustment, because I should be able to say, I only need to compensate you to make you equally happy. I don't need to compensate you to buy back whatever you had previously purchased, only to watch you use the money totally differently than I was expecting. The other thing they know how to do is something called chaining. Now, chaining really just means going towards the continuum limit. Instead of checking every year, I'm going to check every quarter. Maybe I'm going to check every month or every day or every hour or every minute, and I'm going to compare the prices and quantities. And so as you go towards that continuum limit, you get a different decrease usually in the rate of inflation. But we don't know how to chain a cost of living adjustment, because then it ends up picking up your changes in taste. And the dirty little secret of neoclassical economics is that as soon as your tastes change, the entire theory of human welfare in economics falls apart. Okay? And so what they've done is they've got an elaborate... Do you remember seeing this picture of J-Lo in the Versace dress, right? So it's like nobody can figure out exactly how this thing is staying together. And it seems like the tiniest stitch goes wrong and the whole thing blows apart. That's modern neoclassical economic theory with respect to the changing preference hypothesis, which is they claim just don't allow people to form different tastes from each other or from themselves a minute ago, and everything will be fine. But if you move, the whole thing is going to blow apart. Now, as a result of this, yes, I'm going to make a very strong claim. Economics doesn't know how to calculate the rate of inflation because they need something called gauge theory. And because they don't know gauge theory, and because they don't understand inflation, and because they want to preserve the freedom of the Bureau of Labor Statistics or of the Fed, or whoever puts together GDP and productivity gauges. They want the freedom to make things up as they go along. And I've been like, I want to take that freedom away. You say, trust, we don't trust, we verify, right? I want to disintermediate economists. You're angry at all central bankers. I'm going to one-up you. I'm angry at neoclassical economists who pretend that they know what's going on, and they don't know what's going on.